Joining me now, Jon Buehler. He is one of the original detectives on the Scott Peterson case. He continues to believe that Scott Peterson is guilty. I am so glad that you're here, Jon. We have spoken and texted about these new docuseries. I feel like I've been spending time with you because you're both in the Peacock one and in Netflix. So the Peacock one just dropped. And this is the first time that we have seen Scott speaking in the last 20 years. It's been so interesting to hear his voice, his cadence, kind of that nervous smile at times. What was it like for you to hear him all these years later? Does he sound the same?
Yeah, he pretty much does sound the same. No big difference there. It's, you listen to him and you look at him and dealing with him. This is one of the things that when it came to working this case, he's a likable guy. So it's a lot easier to work a case when you don't dislike the guy that you're trying to clear. And that's really, what we were doing. When he says that we went to the house looking for evidence that he killed Laci, well, that's part of it. But the bigger thing that we did when we went to that house was we were looking for evidence of a struggle, intrusion, something like that, that would have indicated that somebody came in there. Because if we didn't do that when we went to court against him, that would have been the first thing that Garagos would have thrown in our face, is that we didn't process the house to look for stranger intrusion. And when Scott claims that there was no evidence of a struggle, he may not remember the 3 broken ribs that Laci had when she was recovered. And of course, those must have happened between the time she had the phone call with her mom, Sharon, that evening before, and of course, when we found her, back in April.
Right. I remember that there was a lot of back and forth about that during the trial. Did it happen during her murder, or did it happen when her body was being knocked around in the bay? But what do you think here? Do you think that he convinced anybody that there's a possibility that he's innocent? I know where you stand, but when you take a look back and you're watching this docuseries on Peacock, Face to Face with Scott Peterson, he can sound convincing in some parts.
Well, he does sound convincing because, this is his whole attitude on the case since, he was arrested. And the only chance he ever has to freedom is by maintaining this illusion that he didn't do it. So, of course, that doesn't really mean too much for me. I can see why he would do that. But as far as people believing it, I know there's people that are going to believe it. But there are also people that didn't work the case, are not familiar with all the circumstantial evidence and things like that. But again, he doesn't look like the Hollywood type of murderer, somebody that, scares you when they come to the door or something like that. And this is the reason that he is engaging to people, and I think they want to hop on his side. But you really have to ignore a lot of things to believe that he didn't do it.
Well, the Los Angeles Innocence Project took on his case, which was surprising to many. And again, it's different than the National Innocence Project, but they do truly seem to be convinced that he is innocent. Here's what Peterson said about speaking out all these years later and why. Take a listen.
So you were convicted of a horrible crime, the murder of your pregnant wife and unborn son. Why should anyone want to hear your side of the story? Why should anyone care about what you have to say 20 years later?
If I have a chance to get the reality out there, if I have a chance to show people what the truth is, and if they're willing to accept it, maybe that takes a little bit of hurt off my family. And that would be the biggest thing that I can accomplish right now.
Don't trust me, but look at the evidence.
Don't trust me, take a look at the evidence. What do you make of that?
Well, the jury didn't trust him, and the jury took a look at the evidence, and then they came up with their, verdict, which, of course, sustained, what we had, maintained all along. But when, Scott is saying these things, he's convinced of it to the point where he wants to get people to believe it. But again, he said 20 years to come up with this. The thing that I remember most vividly was the whole time we worked this case, there was never any outrage with Scott. He was never outraged at us. He didn't curse at us. He didn't swear at us. He didn't scream, "You got the wrong guy," when the handcuffs went on. We were driving back to Modesto. He's sitting behind me in the car. He wasn't kicking the seat. "John, you're an idiot. You got the wrong guy." There was none of that kind of outrage that I would expect from somebody who, didn't murder their wife. And so when it comes to his whole demeanor, it kind of fits to me with what we're used to. Now, of course, there's outliers there, and everybody's going to say, yeah, of course there are. But the bottom line is you have to go through all the evidence, the circumstantial evidence, and see if he can find an exception there. And I can't find any exception other than he's the only guy that could have done this.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.